Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be showing you this card which I'm calling a double front step pop-up card. It's basically the same as the double side step pop-up card that we did, but it's just turned round that way round. Slight adjustment to the layers, and then I added a card blank on the back, so it's very similar to the one we did a few weeks ago. But I just quite like it because, especially for, well, any card, but it stands up nicely. You won't be able to see it very well, but it stands up nicely, it looks good. It folds flat for posting, because you literally just fold all these up and it doesn't go, you know, it all stays within that 5x7 frame, so you haven't got to worry about that. And it's, yeah, it's just quite a nice card, so hopefully you'll have a go. Yeah, so the papers I've used for this are from a magazine that I had ages ago that had Wallace and Gromit in it, and I just thought it would be quite good for a mail card. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so for this card you will need some base card. You need one piece of base card that is 5x7, another one that's 5x7.5, another one that is 4 inches by 9.5, and another one that's 3 inches by 8 inches. Okay, all those measurements will be on the screen. So we're going to score them now. Okay, so the 5x7 you don't need to score, that can just go to one side. The 5x7.5 you need to score at 1/2 inch along the longest edge. Then the 4 inch by 9.5 inch piece of card, you're going to score at 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches and 4 inches. And you're going to do the same with the 3x8. So along the longest edge, the 8 inch edge, you're going to score 1, 2, 3 and 4 inches. So then what you want to do is, if you take your 5x7.5 inch piece of card and fold along the 1/2 inch tab that you've made, and you're going to add some red tape to that, and then we're going to stick the other 5x7 piece directly on top. Okay, so I've put the tape on there, so now I've peeled off the backing. I'm going to fold that tab over, and then I'm going to take my 5x7, line it up on the bottom and stick it to that tab. So then you've just made yourself a top folding 5x7 card. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take the largest piece, the 4x9.5, and we're going to fold along and burnish all of our score lines. So once we've folded everything, you should end up with that. And then we're going to put red tape on this section here, the end piece, and we're going to fold it around like that to make our cube. Now you need to have a quick look and see, because mine is actually a little bit too long, so I'm going to do what I did before. I'm actually going to trim a tiny bit off here, just shave literally like 1/8, just so that then we don't have it, you know, making, because at the moment that is actually longer than that edge, so we don't want that. We want it to be nice and square. Okay, so I've just trimmed a tiny bit off there, so now we're going to put red tape on the top of our tab. Okay, so you probably see here I've actually put double-sided as well as red tape. That's just because I don't have enough red tape, okay? That's the only reason. So now we're going to fold, take our backing off, and then fold this flap over to make our little box. Okay, so you should end up with that. So it looks like that on the front and that on the side. Now before, obviously, we had it that way round, but for this card it's not going to be that way round, it's going to be that way round. Okay, So we're going to repeat the same process again on our 3x8 piece, making sure you trim a little bit off here first, which I've already done. Fold and burnish all your score lines and then add your red tape onto the end. Okay, so again, I've done exactly the same again. Before I've only got this little thin red tape, so it's just going to take me ages to cover it. So that's why I've put the normal double-sided on. So now we're going to peel that backing off and do exactly the same again. Fold this over and stick that down. So you end up with that. So now we're going to go ahead and assemble our card. So if you take your 5x7 card blank, top folding, I've done it so that the very dodgy edge there. I've done it so that the tab is actually on the front, the inside of the front cover. So this then is plain. If you wanted to, you could always add something over the top of that to hide that. So on the front of your card, you're going to need a matte layer that is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and a pattern that's 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. So you go ahead and stick your pattern to your mat and then your mat to your front. So you end up with that top folding, normal top folding 5x7 card, and obviously you've got your pattern on the front. So if you bring in your next panel, so on this panel you need a mat that is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4, and a pattern that's 3 1/2 by 5. So again, you stick your pattern onto your mat and then the whole thing onto the front there. Okay, so you end up with that. Now remember as well that your cube bit needs to get at the bottom. So if you've got a right way up piece of card, make sure, like pattern paper, make sure that that is the way it is. So the cube's at the bottom and you're sticking your pattern on that way up. Okay, and then on your final piece, again, you need your matte layer and your pattern layer. If you have a matte and pattern, I haven't, I've actually got a topper that works perfectly. But if you want a matte and a pattern layer, then your mat needs to be 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and then your pattern would need to be 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. So I've managed to find a topper which perfectly fits, so I'm just going to stick that down. Okay, so you should end up with 3 pieces, those 2 there with the box at the bottom, and then your 5x7 note card. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add tape onto this bit here and also onto this bit here. And again, I'm going to be using a mixture of red tape and double-sided just because I don't have any thick red tape, but you would use normal red tape, that's better to use, or a strong wet glue if you want to. Okay, so now what we're going to do, so you put your tape on the back there, is we're going to peel off the backing of the largest box. Well, I'll call it a box, but you know what I mean, piece of card. And then we're going to squish it so that it's that way around. So this is up, this is the sticky bit is on the folded edge. Turn it over and making sure your card is top folding, you're going to line that edge up with the bottom of your card and make sure that it's central left and right, and we're going to stick it down. Okay, so you should end up with that. So that's your front box. So as you can see, when you stand it up, that's what you have. So now we're going to push that up again, and then we're going to stick the front one on exactly the same way. So if we just squish that down so you can see the base, take the backing off, and then line this folded edge up with the bottom of this card here and make sure it's central left and right. So that's what you'll end up with. And then all you need to do is when the recipient gets it, they just need to kind of squish it down a little bit and then stand it up. And obviously there's room here for if you want another sentiment, which I'm going to put in a thank you up there, or you could put something up there. You can change the sizes you have on the front. But yeah, it's quite a nice card. It stands up nicely. I like the fact that it stands proud so far. And it's just quite a cool card. And it's nice and easy as well. If you wanted to, you could do a square version of it. You could use maybe a 6x6. And then maybe go down in size with your squares. Yeah, there's all sorts you could do with it, or even with circles. You could do a circular card and just go down with this, and you could even have more on the front if you wanted to, as long as you don't, go past, when it folds flat, as long as you don't go past the outside footprint of the card, you can pretty much do what you want. So yeah, so hopefully you like that. Thank you very much for subscribing and commenting and watching. You guys have really helped me this year, and it's really good, and hopefully we'll see you in the next year in 2022. Happy New Year!